Well, hello there, and welcome to another edition of Warbird Wednesday. My name is Fred Bell. I am the Vice Chairman of the Palm Springs Air Museum, and today we're going to continue to go down hypersonic road with the last two of these, kind of all those amalgamated airplanes into the Tom Cruise Top Gun epic Maverick 2. And today Greg has, I think, gone a bridge too far in that I can't even see him when I'm doing this. He's really enjoying this. This is Yoshi, if I am showing my, wow, this thing was hot. All right, I'll toss it off camera to Greg. That has some mass to it, Greg. You could go long, I could throw it to you. So the aircraft that we're going to touch on today is the XB-70. The Valkyrie, probably one of the most futuristic airplanes that the United States has ever built. It was actually originally thought of as a bomber. So I'll go ahead and throw up a plan view of the airplane. It is really unique. There's some interesting design features on this aircraft. Originally thought of as a high-speed bomber, it was spawned from Boeing's MX-2145, their boost glide bomber project. The idea was, remember, we've talked about Century Series fighters, and at the time in the 50s, every speed wanted to go faster, 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 faster. And the United States, at the beginning of that, really did have the high ground over the Soviet Union. What I'm talking about is in the 50s. And the idea was that you could have bombers that went so high and so fast that they could literally outrun Soviet air defenses. That was the idea. And this glide bomber project looked at, we've talked about one aspect already, we did a series on it, on atomic fuel, which we talked about, the world's only atomic bomber. And they also were talking about, kind of like the soda you serve me, zip fuels. Now, zip fuels were enriched with boron to increase the density in the fuel, the explosive density in the fuel. And with this boron and other stuff that they could put in there, they could get the explosive element of the fuel increased by as much as 40%. So think about that. If you have, it's just really simple. You have 16 gallons of fuel, we'll just use it in a car, right? And you increase the amount of combustion that you can get out of that fuel, you increase the range of the whatever you're powering. And in this case, it was a bomber. So North American proposed, and we're going to test Greg's chops on this, the WS-110A project was very similar. Both Boeing and North American actually pursued designs on this. But the idea behind this was, and this is where this airplane gets quite interesting, and that is that the way that this wing is shaped, the way that the wedge is shaped, and I'm going to try to keep this as top level as possible because I don't have a chalkboard. But the idea was that the shock wave, and Greg, if you can go out, maybe you can find some stuff on compression lift. This is kind of a way out theory that came out of NACA, okay? And the idea behind it was that the shock wave that came off of pointed surfaces when they were at supersonic speeds would create high pressure air under the lifting body. And again, this is very top level, and aerospace engineers out there who are throwing bricks at the TV, I apologize at this point. But the idea is that you create this high pressure shock wave with the sharp points on the airframe, and that adds additional lift. So you can get more lift out of it. And again, you have a heavier body here. Now this aircraft had a unique feature in that these wings actually would droop. They would come down, and that droop would accelerate the shock wave. When they figured out how to move the wings, they actually moved the engines back a little bit, and they created the additional lift that they needed for this project. Now, this project was canceled in 1961, but they ended up finishing 2 aircraft that flew from 1964 to roughly 1969. This was a sustained Mach 3 aircraft. The fastest that ever flew at Mach 3 was 30 minutes. So it was actually pretty fast. Now, there was a change, and what happened? What happened, Craig? What happened was, we've talked about it, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because we've done over 100 episodes, and I mentioned it many times, Soviet ground-to-air missile defenses. And what ended up, what they thought was the near invulnerable Mach 3 bomber at high altitude suddenly was vulnerable. It could be shot down by these missiles. Now, what they tried to do at this point is they tried to bring the aircraft down and fly it at nap of the Earth. But what changes? The density of the air. And suddenly you took an airframe that was literally 4 times faster than a B-52, and you restricted it down low to 0.95 Mach. So all of the advantage that you had with this aircraft went away when you brought the airplane down low, and that is why they canceled it. Now, Greg, I'm going to ask you, and we've talked about some of these, like the nuclear program as well, how much money they spent on this program. How much money do you think that they spent on this program before they canceled it in 1961? They went on and flew them as laboratory airplanes, but just up to that point, Greg, any idea? $1 billion, he says, Dr. Evil move. No, the XB-70 was canceled. When they canceled it, they spent $7.3 billion in today's dollars when they canceled the program. They got 2 prototype airplanes out of it. Now, the difference is, as opposed to that B-36 Franken bomber, nuke bomber that they came up with, this aircraft actually did serve as a high-speed laboratory. And it also has some tragedy associated with it that we're going to talk about. Now, I wanted to salute today is all of the folks that were involved in this program. This program, I always say things move the ball. This was as cutting edge as it got. Now, remember, this aircraft was canceled before I was born, and the airplane was going Mach 3. It was one of the fastest airplanes on the planet. This was all slide rule design, maybe a little bit of rudimentary computer work in there, but this was, you designed it the old-fashioned way, and that's how they ended up making the airplane work. So if you were involved in the XB-70 program, you're my salute today. I want to salute you. As I said, this aircraft was as cutting edge as they got. It looks, you just look at it, doesn't it look just totally futuristic? It's hard to believe it's a huge airplane. Hard to believe that it actually got built, but it did get built. So if you were with the North American program, I salute you. Now, what am I going to salute you with today? I'm going to salute you with plantation style, mint julep. Now, that could actually be kind of interesting. The one you gave me last time I like, established in 1904. Very little branding on this bottle. It does have a California cash refund, so Greg, it's probably not 500 years old like some of the stuff you've served me. Contains filtered carbonated water, cane sugar. The cane sugar mafia, they're there. And so we'll go ahead and see how this does. But if you were with that XB-70 program, I salute you. Greg, you have broken your personal record. That is the second one in a row that I actually like. This is good stuff. Oh my, that is really good. So the idea behind the XB-70 was this high altitude, super fast penetrator bomber just didn't work. So the government canceled it and they said, well, we'll use it as a flying laboratory. and they did a whole bunch of test flights from about 1964 to 1969, where they flew the airplane. They did all kinds of stuff. It broke all kinds of records, including that sustained Mach, that flight at Mach 3. What they also learned, though, was that the zip fuel didn't work. And the problem with the zip fuel was that at the higher temperatures and at the higher altitudes, it became a problem in that it actually damaged the engines. The boron in there actually damaged the engines. So there was really no way, on top of the fact of bringing it down low, they lost what they thought was that higher combustion fuel. And so the project just never went anywhere, but they went ahead and tested it. Now, in June of 1966, the most thing that this is fairly well known for is it got into a midair collision with an F-104. And it got, there's a lot of argument about what happened, but it was going up for a publicity shot. It got sucked into, the F-104 got sucked into the wake vortex of the airplane, which you can imagine this thing throws off an incredible amount of wake. That's turbulence coming off the airplane. And Joe Walker was killed. His F-104 was pulled into the aircraft, and he was killed. The XB-70 co-pilot, Carl Cross, was also killed in the airplane. And Al White, the pilot, now remember we talked about this had one of those capsule ejection systems in it. He was severely injured. Al White was severely injured when the shroud came down and crushed his arm. So his arm got caught in the ejection capsule as it came out. He was severely injured. The airplane, when the F-104 rolled over, it actually took off the vertical stabilizers, and the airplane flew on for a few seconds, and then it went into a spin, and it broke up. At that point, that was the end of the program. They basically parked the other airplane. The other airplane eventually went off to be a museum piece at the Air Force Museum, and they ended the program. But as I said, what a unique, I'm not sure, Greg, that it was worth $7.3 billion to get 2 laboratory airplanes flying, but it was a very interesting concept airplane. How does it tie in to the SR-72? All of that data that's all been built up, and from all the airplanes we talked about up until the next one in this next episode, which I'm not going to tell you what it is and let you be surprised, all that data rolls up into everything that we know about high speed. And it all gets fed into computers, and they can simulate all this stuff. But these guys were way out on the cutting edge. And so I want to think that their sacrifice was not in vain, in that what they ended up doing ended up coming in and being incorporated so you don't make the same mistakes twice. Now, if you want to continue to partake of our gift store, we have a very cool shirt for you. We've got this new Mustang. Jason went all out on this. This is a very nice shirt at North American Aviation, which we're talking about. Hard to believe they went from the Mustang to that, isn't it? Kind of crazy. But you can reach out to the web store, click on that, and Jason in our gift shop will gladly send you this super majorly, I'm using every califragilistic, there we go, shirt. Now, we cannot do everything that we do without your donation, so click on that link on the donation page. We can always use a few bucks. If you came across us on YouTube, give us a subscription. We have, well over 100 episodes now. All we do are long-form Warbird aviation videos or aircraft that are involved some way in military aviation. Give us a subscription on our YouTube channel. Give us a like. If you like us on Facebook, we'd love that. Give us a comment. We always respond to those. My name is Fred Bell. I am the Vice Chairman of the Palm Springs Air Museum. Thanks very much for joining us. Have a great day.